Today we're going to be going over a few gourmand fragrances to get you started on the right foot for the upcoming fall and winter time. This is the time of year where you can really start breaking these out and wearing them with great success. These types of things usually turn heads and they usually garner some great reactions because they really are so delicious smelling and so realistic. You know, each of these kind of tries to accomplish a certain thing, and we'll talk about that for each. And they do it in such a way that sometimes it's hard to believe that it's something bottled up that you could spray on because it smells so real. And so what is a gourmand fragrance? Simply, that is something that smells edible, and usually it's going to be leaning in the sweet direction. You know, there's citrus fragrances out there that might smell like bergamot or grapefruit or something, but generally the term gourmand is kind of carried more towards the sweeter, edible scents that are more like a dessert or something like that. So we'll actually start off with Bond number 9, New Harlem. I've talked about this one before. It's one of the few Bond number 9 scents that I have. I don't have a ton of them. I don't know why. I just have never really been too interested in the house. I have this and Bleecker Street, and that's about it. I bought this one because of the hype. It was something that was highly sought after, and there for a while it was completely unavailable. There was some sort of issue with the ingredients and they weren't making it for a certain period of time, but now it's finally back and you can get this one below retail at discounters. And I actually ended up buying mine, I believe when it came into stock at one of the discounters, so that way I kind of was able to avoid paying retail for it. And honestly, it's so good that I wouldn't even mind that full retail price. I love being able to get it below, but this is incredible. And the way I describe this one, and to me it's a really accurate description, and I'm smelling it right now, it smells like pancakes with a load of syrup on top of them. Really, it smells like breakfast. It is insane. Like, I'm going to spray it again. It's kind of, now it's all over my finger. I'm really going to be smelling like breakfast dessert right now. So it has that going on, that pancake syrupy sweetness with a little bit of a kind of dusty, powdery nature coming from the coffee notes in here. So it's syrupy sweet, but it also has kind of a powdery, dusty, muted sweetness, almost like a similar effect that benzoin has compared to a vanilla. You know, vanilla is usually syrupy sweet, benzoin a little bit more dusty, powdery, but still sweet. That's kind of the balance going on with this one. So there is, believe it or not, a little bit of balance, but it very much is a sweet scent from opening to dry down through and through. But it is so realistic. If you want something that smells as described, there is nothing else out there like this. I still remember the first time I tried this one. I laughed. I'm like, this is insane how this one comes across. It really is something special. This stuff is delicious. I can't wait to wear it when it's cold outside. Next up, we have Tom Ford Noir Extreme. This is the Parfum. So you could go with the Eau de Parfum. That is a fantastic choice. That one's been out for years. The Parfum version here is a newer release within the past couple of years. And personally for me, and it really isn't any surprise, the Parfum is my favorite. I tend to gravitate towards the Parfums, one, because the concentration is something that I prefer. I like how Parfums wear on my skin. Everybody's different. You know, skin chemistry plays a role in that. But I like just how they generally behave. But also, when you take a look at the progression, you know, a lot of times something will start out as an EDT or an EDP and work its way down the line, spread out over, you know, sometimes a couple years, sometimes, you know, 5-10 years. And so as that progression goes on, the scent gets more refined and more polished. And that's kind of what happened here. There's nothing wrong with the original, but I do think this is a little bit more of an updated, kind of refreshed version. What I like about this in particular is the leather in here is coming through more, where there really isn't any at all in the EDP. It has that kulfi note, a lot of cardamom. It's warm, it's spicy, it's very sweet, has a dessert type of smell to it, a little bit of a chocolatey feel. But again, going back to what I was saying, the leather gives it a little bit more of a masculine kind of spicy edge, a different type of textured spiciness rather than a warm spiciness. There's kind of a little bit of a more kind of masculine, almost woody, earthy spiciness down below. But make no mistake, it is still a gourmand. It is still very sweet. Really nice one. And if you can get it for below retail, it's a great pickup. The performance is also improved with the Parfum, which is a big bonus. So the last couple we've talked about have been on the more expensive side. Let's jump over to something that is much more easily obtainable. The price point on this one is right around $60 or so if you're shopping at discounters, which you should be. It's Robert Graham Valor. It's got coffee, amber, and sage, and I believe that's the only three that they give you, but for me it's a coffee scent. It really is. And it's a great one at that. So retail wise, I think these are just kind of around $100 or so, somewhere around in there. Could be wrong on that, but nothing unreasonable. But again, at discounters, you can grab them for a pretty heavy discount there. And at the $60 price point, it is an absolute steal. It's a very realistic, nice coffee scent with some aromatic support and a little bit of a sweet, sticky amber note in the base. And at retail, it's still a great pickup in my opinion. I don't think this one is outrageously priced. I think actually it offers a lot for the price that it does end up going for at retail, and especially at discounters. I just about flung the bottle out of my hand onto the floor. Yeah, I love this stuff. I think the Robert Graham fragrances, of which there are 3, are highly underrated. I would say this one is probably my favorite. Fortitude would be next. It's a nice tobacco scent. And then finally, Courage is more fresher. Actually, that one kind of smells like Versace Pour Homme. It's the least original of the 3. I would definitely go for this and Fortitude. They are fantastic scents for the price. Very unique. And this one's a great gourmand. If you like coffee, you will love this. Okay, next up we have Parfums de Marly Hobdon. So this is a caramel apple scent, basically. So yeah, it's got caramel. It has apple. This is the epitome of fall when it comes to things that smell the most like fall. So, you know, there's fall fragrances out there that I love to wear in this time, and they work great. But maybe they don't necessarily really kind of give off the mood or the feeling or the personality of fall, but this actually smells like it. The caramel apple combination is perfect for this time of year. You get a little bit of a cinnamon kind of sweetness. There's some myrrh in here as well. It's a little bit syrupy, sweet. The apple actually gives off a little bit of a fresh balance somewhat, which I really like as well. Again, this is very fitting for this time of year. And again, this is probably one of the most legitimately fall or autumn smelling fragrances I have ever tried. It goes with all of my niche, all of my designers. This one, it really is something special here. And I don't believe, or at least I'm not aware of, any clones of this one. You know, at this point, there's quite a few Parfums de Marly clones out there. Carlisle, Leighton, Sedley, and I'm sure more. Herod as well. Probably Percival, Greenlee, etc. This one, compared to all of those others, is not quite as popular. And so maybe there's a clone out there that I don't know of, but I would like to see it. For people who don't want or have this type of budget, you could still get your hands on something that's very similar. But regardless of that, Hobdon, it is a great, fantastic gourmand scent. And we'll end things with a clone, actually. It is Latuffa Rave Now Eau de Parfum, or Rave Now Black. And at some discounters, I think that's what Fragrance By has it listed at. But just look for this one, Latuffa Rave Now Eau de Parfum. And that's kind of what you'll get. Now, what is this one? Well, it's a Creed Aventus clone. And you're probably wondering, okay, you know, Creed Aventus, that's not a gourmand. And you're right. Actual Aventus itself, I would not consider it to be a gourmand. But the pineapple in this in particular is one of the sweetest, most syrupy, dripping, juicy pineapple accords I have ever encountered. And, you know, the way I've described this one in the past is it's fruit ventus. It's pineapple ventus. This is the most extreme pineapple smelling Aventus, you know, similar thing I've ever tried out of all of the clones, out of all of the different batches of Aventus, whatever. And just spraying it right there, it actually smells like you're cutting into a fresh, ripe pineapple. It is insane. It is bizarre. especially coming from a clone brand, which, not knocking the clone brands, but this is actually really premium smelling stuff here for a low price from a clone brand at the end of the day. And so yes, this is nothing original. They can't take credit for this DNA. But again, that pineapple accord is the most realistic and the most vibrant and the strongest I've smelled of everything else that I have smelled. And so if you are wanting the most extreme smelling pineapple scent and you want it to actually smell like you're cutting into one, go for this. And because of that, because it is so prominent, I'm throwing it in here as a gourmand because, let's face it, this is crazy. If you haven't tried this one yet, you can pick it up $30, $35. It's a nice one to have. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. A few fantastic mouth-watering gourmand fragrances that you will love for the cooler times of the year. I'll drop links to them down below. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.